So first off, so we have the pseudocode. So we would say I is 0, while I is a valid index in text. Now what do? We say letter equals the ith character in text. So we say if letter is a vowel, count plus plus, but I guess I should also say count equals 0. And so here's my pseudocode. So you write it down like this, and I know from experience that it takes students some courage to do this the first time, because it's weird, it's not English, it's not C, it's not Java. Just scribble something up that kind of looks like it, and you'll get better at it. Step number 2 is to take the pseudocode and simulate it without putting it on the computer, but just do it on pencil and paper with our little memory diagram here. What variables do we have? We have I, we have count, we have letter, we have text. I think that's all we have. What was text? Text was beauty. I was 0. Count was 0. So we go in the loop. Is I valid? Yeah, 0 surely is valid, right? What's the 0th character? B. Is it a vowel? No. So we go back to here. What's I?
1.
Who said 1?
Well, you didn't put I
Right.
plus
Yeah,
plus.
so the way you have to play the game, and it's counterproductive if you don't. You have to look at what is actually there and not what would you like to be there. So the whole point of this is to see whether you're doing the right thing, whether you have not omitted any steps. And so you really have to just look at what is actually going on the ground. It doesn't really matter what you would like to happen. And it's very important, and it's counterintuitive. Because of course in your mind, you're looking at B-E-A-U-T-Y. But you have to go one step further to the ground and say, what is actually happening? So there's nothing in here that incremented I. Right? It was a mistake in the pseudocode. It happens all the time, so we just put it in. And it's to trap these kinds of mistakes that one makes this run through on the sheet of paper. Now, you would think, no one is ever actually going to make this kind of mistake, right? Which knucklehead would forget to increment I? But some people did. And in fact, it's a very common mistake. I've had $1 for every time that I forgot that. And then what the people who forgot it, they translated their pseudocode into code, verbatim. They didn't increment I because it didn't say it in the pseudocode, and then the program just ran forever. All right, so now we increment I. I is now 1. The next letter is E. Is it a vowel? Yes, so the count is 1, and so on. So now we've played this thing through here in this simulated environment, and then one can go on and code it up. Now you might say, that sounds like a lot of trouble. And it is true, it is a lot of trouble for this very simple example. The purpose of the simple example was to run through for the real problem that I wanted to ask, that I guess we're just going to be doing next time. So the problem that I wanted you to analyze is where you can find these vowel groups, right? And so now if we look at this problem for just a minute, we'll finish it on Thursday, is now what do? So, and when I did that without the warm-up, I used to give this without the warm-up, and so I would have groups of students, and they would all say, well, I'm going to look for groups of vowels. And I would say, how do you look for groups of vowels, sir or ma'am? Oh, look for groups of vowels I shall. Vowel groups I shall look for. Because if you don't know what kind of your basic things are that you can do, you know, what can you do? It's too difficult to think like a computer. But now you know what are the basic things you can do. You can have a number I that goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can get the ith character. You can have a counter that goes 1, 2, 3. By themselves, these are not going to be good enough to solve this problem. What else can you do? When you're here, can you also look at the next character?
Yeah, like get I plus 1.
Yeah, you could get the I plus first character, right? And you could say, well, that's also a vowel. And then,
Like if I plus I plus I plus 1 equals or get vowel.
so if they're both vowels, then what do you do?
Count the next one. See if it's also a vowel.
Then you could look at the next one and say, is that also a vowel?
Yep.
And you can follow that solution through. And what that solution would essentially be is you would have to have a loop inside a loop, I guess. Because everything has to also be inside some loop, right? So you have to say while I fulfill some condition, and then you do I plus plus at some point. And now you have this phenomenon that in a loop, you only remember what you actually put in variables. So if you want to simultaneously look at I and I plus 1 and I plus 2 and I plus 3 and I plus 4, you can't do it. You'd have to do another loop for that. Or you have to have some other way of remembering something that you've previously seen. All right, so keep that in your mind, and we will complete this lab on Thursday. So put in what you have today, and I will change the lab assignment for Thursday to say, finish this lab. But I'd like to see that you put in today what we've achieved so far.